everybody, Lenny Reed, Dynomite Diesel Products. We're going to talk about BluBaller today. So Mitch, what all do you got here so far?
So right now we've got, it's a stock 12 valve block. We bored it 20 over and we put a 6.7 crankshaft in it with an 80,000 shorter connecting rod from Wagler.
So guys, you know, we started with a really quick, down and dirty, build something kind of fun that we knew about. We're gonna take the BluBaller motor out, which has got like 31 or 32,000 miles on it.
Not even broke in yet.
We're gonna put that motor in this maroon two-wheel drive because it's a really nice 94 two-wheel drive standard cab. And it doesn't need a ton of power because two-wheel drive. Like they get around and they go really well. So there's some tricks that have been coming out with everybody hybriding parts from application to application. And as we posted about this, a bunch of you guys reached out to us and said, don't do it. There's way cooler stuff out there. So with your advice, and because I believe in some of these tricks, they're actually gonna work based off what I've learned in common rail, piston bowls. Piston bowls are a really big deal. And you know, I've been around enough 12 valves to know that they start to get hot and dirty at a certain point and they really don't get very efficient with air. So piston bowl, this is how close we were to being done with this. We decked the block, got the block exactly flat, got it clean. Then we set pistons in it. We measured piston protrusion. We wanted to set piston protrusion about 25 thousandths of an inch because these were sitting at 30 initially.
Yeah.
We had to deck these. And then I started getting bombarded by guys going, hey, don't do it. Just, you're wasting your time. There's a way cooler piston. It's out of a 91 non-intercooled. So I looked into it, checked it out, ordered some pistons from the guys at Powerdriven from Interstate McBee, and they showed up and we measured the piston bowl, and it's 59 millimeters across the top of the bowl. The stock piston's only 50. So you're gaining 9 millimeters in volume going across. And what I know about common rail is the bigger the bowl, the more efficient it becomes on air. So surely because of that, and because a bunch of you guys out there have reached out and said we've got way better results doing different pistons, they like turbochargers better, they smoke less, they run cooler, they got better throttle response, we figured we'd try it.
We're gonna give it a try.
So thank you for that. The stock piston bowl measures at about 50 millimeters, and the piston bowl for the non-intercooled 91 Cummins is 59. So you're gaining a little over 1/4 of an inch in bowl diameter. I personally believe that's going to be a huge increase in oxygen content, so yeah, we're really glad that we did it.
And the bowl design's a little bit different. So
definitely different, but it actually uses the same spray angle.
Yeah.
So the same spray angle that we've always used in 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, that stuff's going to go directly in here, and we're super stoked about that. This weekend, I didn't even tell you about this, but Drew at D&J Precision, he bought 3 sets of injectors to dyno test with. He ended up using the stage 4s, and he ended up with a motor that made 1,000 horsepower on the engine dyno, 1,800 pound-feet of torque. Nothing real special about it, I don't think, but it had a Farrell stage 5, whatever Drew did to the engine, and he said the thing was completely manageable and he really liked the injector combo. That's awesome. So we're stoked about that. But this thing's going to be quite a bit cooler because it's not just going to be a 5.9. What do they call these things? Like a 6.1 or 6.2? I think this
is a 6.2, especially 6.2? Being a 20 bore, 20 over. I think it's a 6.2. Don't quote me. But I could be wrong. The internet will tell us.
6.1, 6.2. So yeah, somebody's going to correct us, I'm sure. So 91 non-intercooled pistons, 20 over.
Yep.
Set the piston to wall clearance at 7 thou.
Yep.
Some people say that's a little tight, and I plan on driving this thing like a 50-year-old man. So occasionally beating it up and not really beating it up all the time. I really don't want a bunch of excess crankcase ventilation. This is not a race truck. This is going to be kind of my daily that makes about 750, 800 horsepower. Yeah. And I want it to be very throttle responsive, and I want it to last a good long time. So it is a cast piston, and we know that, you know, 10 to 1,200 horsepower, you're going to run out of piston no matter what, and we're well underneath that. So we're stoked about being able to use a cast piston and have it live a couple 100,000 miles. Mitch, you brought in a crankshaft because the only 6.7 cranks I had were already welded up.
Yeah, so we couldn't, obviously we'd have to cut the welds to press the gear off so that we could press the helical gear onto the 6.7 crank. So I had one sitting at the house. I brought it in and I went to the machine shop. We swapped the straight cut gear for a helical cut gear off that crankshaft. So now this crank is in the motor for good. Bearings, everything is all set. And all we need to do now, we're just going to run a small tack weld on the gear just to make sure it doesn't move. And yeah, we got a 6.7 crank in here now.
So we basically got a 5.9 block, couple of camshaft bearings. We're not worried about needing all the camshaft bearings because the valve springs that are in this aren't that stiff.
No.
We've got power drivens like stage 1 head. It's got their good valve springs on it. Stock diameter valves, but it's got their port job done. Will says this thing's going to support about 1,400 horsepower. So again, we have more engine part than we have goal for what this thing's going to do. Connecting rods, Wagler builds a set of 80 thousandths shorter rod. The stroke on the 6.7 is 80 thousandths deeper. So in order to get it to all fit within this package, you got to get the rod shorter. Kind of ruins the rod to stroke ratio a little bit, but again, this thing has a T4 on the manifold. It's not going to spin a whole bunch of RPM. Like this thing's going to be shifting 42 to 4,400 RPM. So I'm not real worried about the rod to stroke ratio. Like with our UCC motors and all you guys trying to make 2,000 horsepower, the longer the rod, the better the stroke to rod ratio is, and the less angle you have when that thing's coming full circle. So we're using the same crank as a deck plate motor, but we're using a real short rod, and I just want this to be like 2,000, 1,800 up to like that 38, maybe 4,000 RPM, shifted at 4K. 800 horsepower should be pretty violent in a little second-gen truck like it is. So pretty stoked about that. Parts that we're going to support with this, we've got our 12.5 millimeter injection pump that's going to go in it. So we're going to start timing at about 18 degrees initial, and we'll dyno it from 18 to 20 to 22 to 24 and see where the motor really likes to party. But this piston, he claims is what, 16 and a half? 16 and a half to 1.
Yeah.
So you got the piston protrusion on this thing, luckily, set right where?
Right out of the box at 26 thousandths.
26 thousandths.
So, perfect.
We're using Hamilton's 178 208, is that right?
178 208. It's not a big cam.
Not a big cam. We don't need a bunch of valve relief.
Exactly.
Trying to keep the combustion bowl untampered with and very efficient.
Yep.
So again, street truck, just gonna hope that it's got tons of throttle response and kills tires. Turbochargers. These turbos were also on that little maroon truck. So we got a SXE 363 with the 73 millimeter turbine wheel. We got a undivided T4 housing. It's the smallest one. I think it's a .88 AR. You can correct me on that if you like. We're gonna blow an SXE 76 directly into that. And that's got a 96 turbine wheel with a 132 A over R. I could spin that harder by going to a 115 or something like that. I don't really want to do that because, again, street truck, I don't need to make 100 pounds of boost. I really want this thing to make about 60 pounds of boost, and I'm hoping with a decent flowing head I can keep that boost number down there. The guys at Raven Fab built this kit for me a while ago, and this is all stainless steel, TIG welded stuff, but since it is a street truck and I'm not washing it and keeping it clean, it started to kind of tarnish and look pretty used. So I decided I would just send it up, have full circle powder coat it for me in BK26. So that is going to be hopefully quite a bit easier to keep clean. Again, the hot pipe is stainless steel, TIG welded. You can't really see the hot pipe. I will have that wrapped in header wrap. Turbine housings will be covered in basically just a turbocharger blanket. The downpipe is beautiful. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces that he's TIG welded there at Raven Fab. Stainless steel downpipe. It looks gorgeous. We're getting pretty jacked about this thing. Like, Interstate McBee gaskets, gasket kits, inexpensive.
Yep.
With the age of these trucks now, you guys, some of you guys are buying $4,000 and $5,000 trucks. You're going to sink 5 or 10 or 15 grand into them. You're driving around a $20,000 truck that's going to be kind of a hot rod. And if the chassis is in good shape and the electrical's in good shape, then why not throw the money at the motor? Why not throw the money at the tranny and enjoy something that's way cheaper than a brand new truck payment? Because once you've paid for all these parts, it's yours and you don't have a new truck payment. So we're really on board with this. Mitch loves mechanicals.
Yeah.
I really am. I'm kind of getting excited about it again. You know, I've driven enough hot rod 12 valves that it was kind of like young and I'm over it. But with variable timing and a little bit bigger plunger, the injector technology is coming out. I still love the classic sound.
I think that kind of brought you back to 12 valves.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun working with you.
You still own a bunch, but I came here. I'm the only one at Dynomite that likes P-pumps. So,
pretty much.
So
Everybody else is
we're the two oddballs.
Yeah, I'm only doing it because I'm old. Like I can remember
I like them, but
eating Domino's and drinking Coca-Cola and scratching my head on the dyno at 9 o'clock at night going, why am I doing this? So, but this is a beautiful truck, and I flirted with selling it. I thought I was going to sell it. With all this cool stuff coming, we're going to build it.
Yep.
So DPC, the converter that's in the blue truck right now, it's a little bit loose for what we're about to build. So we're going to donate that converter to this two-wheel drive truck. I'll get a hold of Phil at DPC and I'll have him send me a converter that he matches up with this turbocharger setup and like 750 to 800 horsepower.
Yeah, that should be good.
This should be, Steed Speed manifold, T4. It's their comp angle. Depending on how easy we make our boost pressure, this is a non-gated manifold. And if it overboosts, I'm going to punch a hole in this thing. I will put like a 45 mil gate in it and then blow it probably into the atmosphere or just into the exhaust pipe after the big charger. I'm really big on, like, if you don't need 80 pounds of boost, don't use 80 pounds of boost. It's just undue stress and undue heat and lower oxygen content than 60. So right now, I don't have the ability to gate this. I don't know that I'm going to need it.
We may not need it. We don't know until we get it on the dyno.
So this is, as you guys follow along with this build, you're going to learn some things that we're going to learn. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up putting a 45 mil gate in it, which is unfortunate because we just thermal coated that manifold again to clean it all up.
That's fine. We'll just do it again.
Yeah, we'll just do it again. It's no big deal. We'll have plenty of thermal coat on there. Yeah. So really, Mitch, you are going to build the spec sheet, and we're going to post the spec sheet so everybody can see what you've set clearances at. So ring end gap, piston sidewall clearance, crankshaft thrust, crankshaft bearing clearance, rod caps clearance, thrust on rods, camshaft thrust. Guys, that's bit me a few times in the past. So with camshaft thrust, basically around 15 is the maximum that I like to see with camshaft thrust. It won't happen on a 12 valve truck, but with the common rails, when I was starting to build motors back in the early days, like probably 04, 05, we would get them up to like 15, 16, 17 thousandths, and they would throw intermittent camshaft codes. So then we bought some billet retainers to eliminate some of that thrust, that end play, and it all of a sudden fixed up those codes. So pretty much every motor that I ever built after that never got a factory retainer. It always got a billet retainer to get rid of some of that thrust. Just a trick for you to know. Lifters, there's nothing crazy about this.
No, it's just, it's
kind of simple bolt-on stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have a set of push rods in it. I think they're just Hamilton heavy-duty push rods, nothing crazy.
Nothing exceptional.
Yeah, it's not a wild build, but at the end of the day, it should make power, make great torque, it should have ridiculous responsibility. Like, you should just touch the throttle it wants to go.
I'm really hoping that we can get, I'm hoping that in the end, this thing's set at 18 degrees initial. So when I pull up to the drive-through to grab a cup of coffee or a sandwich, it's not real noisy and it's not real obnoxious and I don't have to shut the truck off. But obviously, if we throw enough fuel in it quick enough with the 12.5 millimeter pump and we get the proper sized injector, we shouldn't need a lot of fuel plate, which is basically injector duration. And I won't be fighting exhaust gas temperature issues.
Yeah, if we can keep the duration down low and just a violent spray, that'll be exactly what we're looking for, and that will make the response.
It's a lot better. 18 degrees is way better than 24 degrees when you're trying to spool something up. So this engine gets the very first 12.5 millimeter pump that we ever put together. The second 12.5 millimeter pump, Kevin just sent me a photo of it in the bench.
Nice.
So that'll probably ship tomorrow.
Perfect.
And that one's going to be, sellable to any customer out there that wants one. Again, it's a large millimeter pump, comes with a fresh camshaft. top end stuff. They're $4,000 plus core. As long as you've got any core, 160, 175, 180, we accept any of those cores. It just has to be a good housing, not missing a bunch of parts, because then I got to ding you for the core charge, or you need to go find another fully assembled pump. So we're not picky about what the core is, but we definitely need a core because we're going to be doing...
As long as it's fully assembled, because we're putting new cam and everything in it, so we don't care if it's a 160, 175, we don't care. So just needs to be a good pump.
Well, without further ado, we got a blue block because the body color is blue.
Yeah, this is actually the paint code for the truck that we've painted on the engine. So it's pretty cool.
Oil pan's going to end up being kind of a cast metal gray. Cylinder head is going to be cast iron gray. We've got BK26, which is kind of a silver and black finish on the turbochargers. We'll have black turbocharger blankets on it. Oil pan's going to be black.
Pink valve covers on it.
Yeah, pink valve covers, absolutely.
Yes.
Save the boobies, like cancer awareness thing.
There you go. I like it.
Probably not. Let's put the factory valve covers back on it and make them, I want this thing to be fairly subdued. Well, that's all I got. How about you?
That's everything that I've put into it so far. So I don't have anything else to add yet.
Perfect. Then I'm going to get the heck out of here, go to another meeting, and you can finish assembling this,
keep going,
building our spec sheet.
Yep.
And here in a couple days, we'll be back out here as we're pulling the motor out of the blue truck. We'll pull the converter out of the blue truck. We'll drop that into this maroon thing. And like, again, the motor out of the blue truck is going to go in the maroon thing. So we're going to end up with this 94 two-wheel drive, which has 125,000 miles on it. I got the thing out of Arizona. It was an extremely nice truck. Somebody's, Arizona garage barn find, but somebody decided to pull all the wiring out of it, transmission, engine, and we took about 3 or 4 years to find all the parts, got it running, and discovered that I didn't hurt the rods like I thought I did in that motor.
Yeah.
But we did kick the head gasket out of it, and it was leaking. So that's another thing. This afternoon, or maybe tomorrow morning, we need to do the fire ringing, or the O-ring.
Oh yeah, we're going to O-ring the head, and then we've got 625 ARP studs on their way.
Almost forgot.
Yeah, we can't forget.
Our boys at ARP, I really enjoy the guys at ARP. I've always used their head studs, not because they're free, not because they're cheap, but because it's the best head stud on the planet. I hit them up and said, I have black head studs for this, but I'd really like to, it's going to make a little bit more power. I'd like to put 625s in it, and Chris said, man, we'll send you a set of head studs. He gave me a decent deal on them. Definitely appreciate that, but it wasn't expected, and I'm really happy that 625s are going in this.
Yeah,
We're going to end up pulling this to about 155 foot-pounds.
Yep.
We'll drive it, let the gasket get soft. We'll do a hot retorque. We'll probably repeat that process in 3, 4, 5 times until the head quits moving.
Yeah, exactly.
I love O-rings because you can make more horsepower and it holds the cylinder pressure in there, but I hate O-rings because it's very difficult to get the head gasket to really engulf that firing or that O-ring very well. So it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, but since this isn't somebody's customer truck and it's not somebody's daily driver, we've got the time to drive it, let it sit overnight, fire it up in the morning, get it warm, retorque it, shut it down, come back, do it the next day, drive it softly for 100 miles, bring it back in, we'll retorque it again until it quits moving. Once it's finally done moving, we won't have to re-jam the head studs anymore. But Tim was good enough. He used the torque plate on this thing at the machine shop.
Yep.
And with the torque plate, since I don't have the ARP 625s yet, what we did is we used black ARPs out of a 24 valve application, applied the torque plate at 145 foot-pounds, which is a lot for those black studs. We usually don't pull those things past 140. But we were trying to distort the block, so when Tim bored it and honed it for us, as you unbolt that deck plate, the block kind of deforms. And since we know we're going to be 150, 155 foot-pounds, I wanted to get the block as bored, as true and straight in real-world application as possible. And since the 12-valve head studs are 3 different lengths, I figured just using the 24-valve head stud kit that we had in stock was going to be the easiest way to go about it. So that's what we did. And again, much appreciation to Tim for taking the time to use the torque plate, and much appreciation to the guys at ARP for hooking us up and helping us out with a badass set of head studs. Can't believe I almost forgot that. Like that
That's
was one thing that I was like super worried about. Like, let's not put it together. We need the 625s. And now we don't even know. They're en route, which is why they're not on the stable.
They should be here literally any day.
So out of sight, out of mind. I almost did it. Almost forgot one of our guys. That's bad on me. So yeah, I guess that's it.
Yep, that's it. That's all we got for today. So the next video we'll probably just pull the motor out, blue truck. This one, it might be ready to go in by the time that video comes out. We'll see.
Get you a couple more still shots of pistons and just the bottom end of the motor. I wish we would have taken pictures of the connecting rods. It's Wagler Street Fighter series. So again, we've got more engine parts than we've got goal for horsepower.
For sure.
This thing should be a very bulletproof, very reliable motor. Pretty stoked about it.
Yep.
Okay, Lenny Reed, I'm out.
Mitch, out.
See you.